What's up, Beta Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. Today, we're going to be jumping into a brief market update. I want to touch on just the broader crypto space. I also want to talk, of course, about Cardano. We've got some pretty cool bits of information coming in surrounding integrations, support, and last but not least, governance. So this would be a little bit different than some of my traditional updates, but I'll be following up with some additional Cardano scoops, focusing on all of the ecosystem builders, including C3, Cornucopias, Book.io, Indigo, just to name a few. Now, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to help you break down and navigate the crypto space, specifically Cardano. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down below. Moving right on in, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin here, which continues to struggle to break past this $72,000 or $73,000 range. Most recently, we've made an attempt, a third attempt, I should say, and we're seeing a rejection from that range with no real decision as to whether Bitcoin is aiming to break higher or potentially break down. Now, if I jump out on the daily time frame, as you'll see, Bitcoin has been on quite the run here since the lows, of course, up over 300%. So I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of cooling off, some potential consolidation, and maybe even a test of some of the lows, right? We really haven't had a big correction since the launch of the ETFs, which that was all the way back in the middle of January. Similarly, we have altcoins continuing to unfortunately bleed out against Bitcoin, basically meaning that if you are in Bitcoin right now, you're probably better off, right? A lot of these altcoins are not performing, or Bitcoin is outperforming the altcoins. And so right now, it is a time where altcoin season has not yet started. This is expected. This is normal. But once we have this next leg up, in my opinion, we're really going to see a lot of these altcoins begin to outperform Bitcoin. And that, of course, includes Cardano, Matic, Avalanche, Solana, etc. Now, there's also been talk or chatter about the fact that networks like Solana have already had their run up. They're now starting to see congestion. And so that may play a factor in the next part of the bull run. Will we see continued adoption of some of these chains that have already had pretty big runs? Again, that'll be up to the market. I'll just be keeping an eye out on that. Taking a closer look here just at Cardano in general. If I turn on some of my horizontal support here, as you guys will notice, we are continuing to just kind of oscillate between a couple of different ranges. We are right now at the 57 cent range. And this is the range that we've kind of been in all the way back since November. We did have a minor deviation all the way to about the 75 to 80 cent range with a swift rejection back down. And we appear to be breaking back down between the 40 cent range all the way up to about that 60 cent range. Again, this is expected. There will be consolidation along the way before we see the next sort of move, just like we saw from the lows of the 25 to 60 cent range. So that will do it there just for the introduction for today's video, just taking a look at just the broader crypto market. As it stands right now, of course, Bitcoin's still at number one. I recently released a video highlighting the fact that we do have Toncoin, which just recently flipped Cardano. Their market cap currently sitting at 22 billion and Cardano sitting at 20.6 billion. Now, after that video, and I of course recommend you guys go ahead and check that out, something was brought to my attention, which I didn't even get an opportunity to highlight in that video. That is the fact that Toncoin, in addition to having some really sketchy tokenomics and distributions of their token, right, which of course I highlighted in my video, they have no cap on the actual supply of their Ton token. So here we take a look at the max supply. For example, with Cardano, there's a max supply of 45 billion tokens. With Ton, there's an infinite supply. So at any moment, there could be an inflation, and in addition to the supply, diluting existing holders' share or their value that they currently hold. This, of course, is again, in addition to the fact that around the top 100 wallets basically control 93% of the current Ton circulating supply, which is a huge red flag compared to 20% or so for Cardano, about 10 to 15% for Solana, and about 5% of the total supply being held by the top wallets in the Avalanche ecosystem. So again, want to quickly touch on this here. The last thing I'll mention, and then I'll leave Ton alone altogether, is the fact that even though it has flipped Cardano, there are no listings on some of the expected tier one exchanges. So the biggest exchange that they're currently listed on appears to be OKX. And when I reviewed their data, OKX was actually one of those wallets, or OKX was one of the wallets holding a bunch of the Ton tokens. So I assume that in order to have gotten the OKX listing, the team working at Ton basically gave some of those tokens over to OKX, which of course is expected, right? You either are going to pay in fiat or USDC, or you're going to pay by giving some of these exchanges, right, or market makers your actual token. Now, there's no mention here of Coinbase, no mention here of Binance. For a token that's in the top 9, it's really, really surprising. The last thing I'll jump into, just surrounding Cardano and it being knocked out of the top 10. We've seen this happen time and time before. Shout out to Stake with Pride for providing this graphic, breaking down the top contenders all the way from 2017 all the way to 2024. Now let me just see if I can open this up in a separate tab here and zoom in. We can see in 2017, Cardano at number 5, 2018, number 11, falling all the way down to as low as number 13 in 2019. And then most recently, right, kicking off 2024 at the number 8 spot. Of course, right now we're just at the brink. We're at number 10. And I believe that Avalanche is right on our tail. So this is, again, nothing that is out of the ordinary. It's happened time and time again. And this happens all the time, right? You know, different assets have different rotations. Liquidity comes in at different times, therefore increasing or decreasing their market caps. So I want to quickly touch on that as well. And let's just take a look at the broader Cardano market right now. We have Fren over the last 7 days up 98%. We've got World Mobile up 56%, followed by Ncoins. We've also got the Coinecta project, the launchpad here, which will actually be launching the Nuvella token over the course of, I believe, the next 2.5 weeks. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And if you're not familiar with that actual project, they've just made their way into the Cardano ecosystem as a DePIN aggregator. So they'll be providing node service or just different nodes for different DePIN projects already built on Cardano, kicking off with a partnership with Iagon. So they're going to be running their own Iagon nodes. And we may also see them supporting other platforms, for example, like World Mobile, which is also another pretty big DePIN play in the Cardano ecosystem. Now, short of that, the majority of the tokens in the ecosystem are currently red. Biggest loser being Society, down 30%. Also got Axo down about 10%. We also have, let's see, SNEC down about 7% as well. But all in all, I mean, the market is relatively steady. Again, we really haven't seen a huge push up in terms of the value for Cardano native tokens as a whole. The last time that we saw that was way back in July of 2023, where we saw a lot of the DEXs and a lot of the DeFi protocols really gaining against their ADA valuation. Next, we've got additional tokens being listed on the ADA Markets platform. And shout out to ADA Markets. This is actually their bubbles visualization here. As you guys can see, very simple to kind of let you understand who's in the lead, who's down in terms of price value, right? At a glance. So if you guys want this sort of visualization, make sure to jump over to app.ada.markets/bubble. Now, we just saw the conclusion of the Smart Places Liquidity Bootstrapping event, or their LBE, in collaboration with MinSwap. And we also saw Clarity DAO launch their token. They're a DAO governance platform. And that was done with SundaySwap. So one LBE with MinSwap, another with SundaySwap, but both tokens now being added for aggregation and swapping directly on the ADA Markets protocol. Next, we have a brief piece coming in from Dan Gambardello, aka Crypto Capital Venture, and he's been working to get Cardano integrated in some of the bigger DEX screening protocols. These are basically platforms that allow for you to select the chain and quickly see some of the tokens that are trading. A lot of information very similar to DEXTools. You can take a look at the market caps. You can begin to swap on them. You can get all the contract addresses, all of the social media information for all the tokens listed on that particular chain. So from an exposure standpoint, this is huge for Cardano. And the team at DEXTools has now confirmed that they will be integrating Cardano. Now, when this happens, there's no official timeline, but Dan's been pushing to get Cardano adopted into some of these platforms. There's another platform called DEXTools, which of course has all the top tokens, and they're excluding Cardano. I would love to see us also entering into that platform. If you just want to go ahead and just check out DEXTools or DEXTools, I should say, you can head over to dextools.io, and I'll leave the link to that down below. But as you guys can see here, they've got a lot of different metrics, a lot of different things you can review when it comes to all the blockchains and all the different crypto markets. Next, I want to quickly touch on governance. But before I do, if you're enjoying this video, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, then make sure you leave a comment down below. Now, with governance, we are expecting the Chang hard fork. Charles has been talking about this for quite a bit, and I believe this should be coming down the pipes either in Q2 or Q3. We just entered Q2, meaning that it could be within the next 2 to 3 months. If not, I would assume that we'll see it in Q3, taking us at the latest all the way to about the August or September timeline. Now, if you're not just familiar with governance, there is an entire working group through Intersect, which is the platform or the member-based organization that will basically be in charge of governance once the Chang hard fork is executed and SIP number 1694 goes into effect. Now, what they've done is they've put together a huge repository of information surrounding governance. I'm going to go ahead and share that with you guys here. But this is one of the key pieces or one of the recent infographics released surrounding Cardano governance. So this was done with Mike, I believe, from Able Pool, as well as the Summon platform. And I've already got it actually pulled up here in its entirety on a separate tab. So if you just want to find out anything about governance, how it's going to work, the DREP voting process, some of the thresholds, the different types of votes, right? All of the information surrounding governance is basically captured in this one infographic. Now, myself, I've got a lot of catching up to do. I'll be diving a little bit deeper into this, but I want to take a moment to at least bring this to your attention if you are thinking about getting involved in governance for Cardano. Now, I mentioned earlier as well that there's an entire repository, and I'll leave the link to this down below, but they have a Gitbook breaking down all of the expected integrations, all of the explainers surrounding governance. It's essentially a hub, right? All dealing with Cardano governance. So some of these pieces here touch on wallets and integrations. For example, Giro or the Giro wallet will be integrating support for viewing votes, etc., into their wallet. We've also got a partnership here with Ada Stats, Gimbal Labs, Sunday Swap Labs, and these are all to integrate different portions, different features, all tying back into Cardano governance directly into their protocols. So make sure to go ahead and check this out here. There's quite a bit of information. Of course, this is where I actually found the infographic that I just shared with you guys on that previous tab. In closing of today's video, we do have some pretty cool swag coming from Emergo. And so this is all based off of, again, governance, Voltaire, and just the power coming back into the community's hands. We actually saw them handing out a bit of pins already at the recent Dubai Summit. Of course, that'll be taking place again in Dubai for 2024. And it looks like the team will be handing out some limited edition pins ahead of governance in that particular era. So that will do it here for today's video. A relatively short one, but I want to quickly follow up, provide you guys some updates as to just how the overall market is looking and exactly some of the updates that we've seen within Cardano. If you appreciate updates like these, right, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you just want to support, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, then make sure to leave them down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.